Hi guys, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be teaching us how to make this lovely top, and most especially the exaggerated sleeves. So let's get started. Okay, so I'll advise you to open the link in my description box, and you will see the tutorial or the link on how to draft a basic bodice. I've done that before. So I have an already drafted basic bodice pattern here, but just slight alterations here and there. Yeah, so we're going to be using this pattern to cut the front and back. This is my bust point line, okay, my bust dart, my waistline, and of course the hip line. Okay, and this is like going to be the length of my top. This is 25 inches. Okay, then on the waistline I marked quarter of my waist circumference measurement plus 1 inch for dart intake and 1 inch for side seam allowance. Then on the chest line, quarter of my bust circumference plus 1 inch for seam allowance. On the hem line, quarter of my hip circumference plus 1 inch for seam allowance. Okay. For the neckline, I did 3 inches for the neck width and 4 for the neck depth. And then of course for the armhole, you can also check in my description box. I've dropped the link on how to draft a perfect armhole. And then this is my bust dart. Okay, so just watch the basic bodice tutorial, you understand better. Okay, so you can see a red marker on my pattern towards the neckline. So the red one is for the back. I came down by 1.5 inch and the front is 4 inch. That's the neck depth, but the neck width is the same, 3 inches. So first thing first, I am going to close this bust dart so I can transfer it to the waist. Okay, so I'm just going to do my blending here. Please try and watch the basic bodice tutorial. You have a hang of what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to blend out the lines here. Okay, all right, so I'm just going to trim off that little excess at the corner there. Okay, so like I said, we're transferring the bust dart to the waist. So I'm just going to cut out like this. This is your regular dart on a regular bodice. Okay, that's, I took half inch on both sides, you understand? So, and do not forget that you come down by 2 inches from the bust point, and your dart should always stop 2 inches before the hip line. Don't forget all that. Okay, so I'm just trimming out the darts like so. Okay, and then I am going to close the bust dart now. By the time I close the bust dart, it's going to automatically be transferred to the waist. So it's either you close it like this with tape or you can cut it out, whichever one is the same thing too. I'll just close it with my tape like so. So you can see that the dart on the waist down to the hemline, you can see that it's now bigger. Okay, so giving us sort of an A-line top. Okay, now I'm going to transfer this to my fabric now. Now to cut the back, I said we're going to be using the same pattern to cut front and back. I folded my fabric into 2 and I marked 1 inch zipper allowance. So I'm going to cut out the back first. Okay, so I'm just going to pin down like so. Meanwhile, if you don't want to have a zipper at the back, then that means your neckline has to be very big. Like you can do 5 by 5 for both front and back. Then you might not bother to put zipper allowance. Okay, but for me, the neckline will be too wide for me, so I'll be adding half-inch seam allowance round and the hemline too, but there's seam allowance on the side already, don't forget. Okay, so this is my front. I've already cut it out and I added a facing. Okay, facing is a shorter version of a lining. Okay, and then of course this is the back pattern, and I've already cut out the facing too. So we're gonna go ahead to start sewing. I've opened the back pattern into 2. This is my front. I'll be joining the front and back together at the shoulder like so, with half-inch seam allowance. Okay, so you place it like this and then join the shoulder together, and you're going to do the same thing for the facing. You know, the facing is the shorter version of the top. So I've joined it, you can see. And same thing with my facing. I joined it. You can see that the facing just a shorter version of the blouse. So I'm going to use the facing to turn the neckline of my top. So you want to just notch the center, okay? So you just place them like this, okay, and turn the neckline. Okay, so after turning, you want to give your top a very good press, and this is what you're going to be having. You can see. So you can also use an overlocker to lock the rough edges of the facing. Then towards where you have the zipper allowance, let me just place the top well. Yeah, this is the front and the sides. I'll go ahead and turn it ½ inch on the side seam, and I also use my bias tape to turn the hemline. Okay, so quickly let us go to the sleeve and we'll come back to the top later. So for the sleeve, this is my basic sleeve pattern, okay, and I marked the same thing on the cap line and the bicep line, okay, and I drew my slash lines, I think about 4 of them, okay. So I'm going to cut through. Now you can also check the link in the description box on how to draft a basic sleeve. I've done that before, okay. So after slashing, you're going to have something like this. You spread it out like so. Make sure you cut through to the tip, but don't cut everything out. Then you're going to place this on your fabric. It consumed a lot actually. So this is my fabric, you can see, and I've spread out my sleeve pattern on the fabric. Then I decided to increase the length, so I added about 3 inches extra. We'll be using about 1 inch for the elastic casing for the elastic band. Yeah, so I have the 2 sleeves pattern here, and like I said, if you don't want yours to be this full, you can reduce the fullness by not spreading it too much. So now on the sleeve, I'll go ahead and join the 2 sides, okay. Then I'll go and iron this ½ inch twice to create a casing for my elastic. Good. So after creating the casing, and then you're going to sew the side, and then you would have sewn the casing round and leave about 1 inches, okay. So you measure your wrist like so. That should be the length of the elastic band. Then with your safety pin, you're going to use it to pass the elastic round, round the casing. So your casing shouldn't be less than ½ inch. Okay, so this is my, I've passed the elastic round, and this is it. You want to stitch both elastic together with sewing machine and then close up that 1 inch opening. Okay, so this is my sleeve now, it's ready. Okay, now back to our bodies. You can see that I've used bias to hem the lower part, that's the hemline. Now I'll be attaching the sleeve to the armhole on both sides. Good, I've done that already. This is it, okay. So another thing is I created two tiny ropes. I want to create like a loop, so I'll use my seam ripper to open this part here, like probably on the underbust line, okay. And you're going to put the loops inside. It's just so that it will put the belt in place. Yes, same thing. He just opened about 1 inch and put the rope. And then I've also created my belt. The belt is about 80 inches long. You can make yours shorter or longer, okay. So I'll go ahead and do that. And the last thing is to fix the zipper, okay. These are the 2 loops I created. So you just sew up to this point and create about 6 inches or say 10 inches zipper allowance, zipper space for zipper, I beg your pardon, so that the head will be able to pass through. And that's all about the tutorial. It's super easy and very beautiful. So here is the final outcome of the top. My own sleeve is bigger than the original picture. Yeah, I wanted it bigger. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please Feel free to leave your comments and reaction, share with your friends, and do not forget to hit this notification bell. So thank you very much for watching. Bye.